Alright, so we spent a lot of time developing this idea of compound interest. That's looking at things where the principal is actually growing each year. And we developed this formula with these different values. We know that A is the total value of the investment or the amount that we owe. P is the principal, so that's what you start with. Interest rate, that is given as a percentage to you, but we'll express that as a decimal or fraction. And N is the number of investment periods. I'll explain a little bit about that in a second. And we're asked for the following questions to find to the nearest cents: the total value of the investment, as well as the interest earned. Okay, so just remember, it's important to understand the distinction between the two. The total value is how much your investment is worth at the end, and the interest earned is how much extra you were given from what you started with. We're going to have to do a little bit more work for part B. But let's just start with part A first. I've got a question here. 40,000 is invested at 7.5% per annum, compounding annually, so that's how often I'm compounding it. And it tells me I'm doing that for 8 years. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at my question and write down all the information I'm given. I know that I start with 40,000, that's my principal. I know that the interest rate is also given to me, that's 7.5%. Now, I want to write this as a decimal fraction, so just to make it easier when I calculate it, I can write that as 7.5 out of 100. So when you think percent, just think of out of 100. Or if you put that in your calculator, that's also the same as 0.075. And I also know the number of investment periods. Because I'm compounding each year, how many times do I compound it? Well, how many years I have. And that's just going to be 8. That's all the pieces, I just want to put them together now. I know that the total value of the investment at the end is just going to equal to 40,000 multiplied by 1 plus the rate, so I'll leave it as a decimal, 0.075, all to the power n, or 8 in this case. And I just want to calculate that value. Now when you calculate that out, you should get 71,339.11, and you're going to get all these decimals here. But what's the question asking for? It says to the nearest cent, doesn't it? So if I want to calculate to the nearest cent, I just want to round it to 2 decimal places. Because I know that if this amount is in dollars, I can have up to 2 decimal places for my cents. And that's just going to be 1 1. That's part A. What about part B? Well, part B is asking for the interest earned, and that's the extra amount. So I put in 40,000, and at the end, I have this amount left. How much did I gain from all of that? Well, in order to find how much you gained, all we want to do is take what we end up with, 71,339.11, and subtract what we put in. That will give me the extra amount. That's a pretty easy calculation. That's just going to give me 31,339.11. That's to the nearest cents. Easy, right? Let's have a look at another one. See if you can beat me this time. I've got Dave, who invests 2,090 at 4.2% per annum. Again, compounding annually for 17 years. Again, I'm just going to look at this information and see what they're giving me. I know that the principal, the starting amount, is 2,090. I know that the interest rate is 4.2%. Or again, I can write that as a decimal fraction. I'm just going to write it as a decimal, 0.042. And the number of investment periods, well, because I'm compounding annually, it's going to be 17. And the beauty about this formula, right, is when we're looking at compound interest before, we're using that table method, calculating each year by each year what we would have. But because I have the formula, I don't have to draw 17 rows. I can substitute my values in, and I can find the total amount really easily. So that's part A. So I'll just substitute it in. I've got 2,090 multiplied by 1 plus my rate, 0.042, all to the power 17. And when you calculate that, I mean, what do we get for this one? 4,206.273. And you've got all these decimals here again. If you just want to round to the nearest cent, that's just 2 decimal places. So you get 4206.227. Easy. Part B. And again, remember, if I want to find the interest earned by the investment, all you have to do is take what you end up with, in this case 4206.27, and subtract the amount that you put in, which was 2090. So that's the calculation I'm going to do. And because I can't do that in my head, I'm just going to look quickly. 2116.27.